one, I cannot be the two. Why you on a perimeter, can't even shoot? Oh, you got a whack at jump. We gon' make it rain, no thunder. I ain't tryna sit on the phone, tryna.
And we're back, man. Shout out to all my stoners, man. It is Wednesday as I'm recording this. I know I usually post on Tuesdays. I usually record Monday night, post on Tuesdays. It's Wednesday. I'm going to post this tomorrow, hopefully before the Thursday night game. But shout out to all my stoners that were looking for this video. I was a little under the weather Monday night. I wasn't feeling good. I would have got on here, gave y'all a bad performance. But here we're back with the studs and duds for week 15. I hope I fixed it on the next couple slides. But let's get right into it, man. If this will go. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the first stud, number 5, the Chargers. I understand that the end of the game was sad for Chiefs fans. But at the end of the day / throughout the game, you were beating the Kansas City Chiefs. You were the reason that the Kansas City Chiefs did not make the playoffs. I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear that. They'll say, hey, if Mahomes didn't get injured, he would have scored a field goal, whatever. And prior to this season, I would have believed y'all. But this season wasn't going the way. It just wasn't. Things weren't breaking your way, Chiefs fans. And I'm just giving props to the Chargers because they're the ones that officially put that nail in the coffin. Teams could have done it in the past. The Colts had a real good chance, but they folded. But the Chargers and Justin Herbert, it means a lot to them. It means more for them to do it because of, the interdivision matchup. And, Justin Herbert, it sounds weird to say, but talent-wise, how far is he from Patrick Mahomes? And I'm not saying, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is top 2, maybe not 2. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about just close your eyes, physical specimen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Coaching, now you got a good coach. You got, I know you're missing pieces, but you're supposed to be the team fighting them. And we're going to talk about the other teams in your division shortly, not the Raiders, but the other team in your division too. But you guys put the nail in the coffin at the end of the day. You took the lead over in the third quarter. You tied it and took the lead in the third quarter. Again, field goals. It wasn't like you were blowing them out or anything like that. But I almost think that makes it more impressive. It was a nip and tuck. You stayed with them. And I know they're not the Chiefs of past, but at the same time, they are the Chiefs that just had a 7-8 year run like no other. I think it was 7 years. So props to y'all, studs. Next up on the list, Phillip Rivers. Listen, it didn't look great. It did not look great. But a lot of people on TV, a lot of people I like on TV, were saying that this was a bad decision by the Colts. This was a bad decision, like on a human level. And I somewhat agreed because this man is 44 years old, 5 years removed almost 5 years removed from playing a football game. And he was already old when he was playing. We ushered him out because of age, play as well. But you know what I'm saying? He was old. He was coaching football. He was getting big. And now we put him back on the field against the Seattle Seahawks defense that was just running through people the last couple of weeks. What they did to Arizona a couple of weeks back, I forget another team, but they're just dogging on people. Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. But Phillip Rivers left the field and thought he had a game winner. Let's just be real. I don't think it should have been that close in the first place. And with the new kickoff rules, a couple yards after a kick that goes out of bounds, now you're in field goal range. It's messing with the total passing numbers. It's messing with, these end of game situations. But at the same time, it's still exciting. But the record books might be changed forever. But Phillip Rivers, he wasn't great. Like I said, 18 of 27, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Only 1 sack for 2 yards. QBR was a 52, passer rating 73. Not good. But the way I thought, and a lot of people thought this was going to go, this was probably best case scenario, top 5% of outcomes. And this is what happened. You lost by 2 and you didn't get sacked a whole bunch of times. You weren't out here looking old. A lot of stuff was short. He averaged 4.4 yards a pass, but he looked competent. I mean, we've seen some other quarterback play look way worse than that, and he just got off the couch. So props to him and all the other 44-year-olds. Moving on, Trevor Lawrence, stud. He's not higher on this list because he played the Jets, but let me just tell you the game he had. Again, he did play the Jets, but 48 points, team points, 330 yards, average 10, 5 total touchdowns, right? 5 total. No, this is just passing. 5 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. 6 total touchdowns. Am I reading that? I thought it was 5 total. That's even crazier than what I thought. It can't be 6, right? 6 times 6, 36. Yeah, okay. 6 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 5 through the air. That's insane. Almost a perfect passer rating. 138, QBR of 95. QBR of 95 is crazy to me. Should be higher, I believe. But anyways, a great game. This is what people that believed in Trevor, and I was one of his believer a couple years back when they lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. I think that was 2 years ago. I was a believer of his. He hasn't been what I thought he was going to be, especially what scouts and everybody thought he was going to be from high school, from middle school to high school to college to the pros. I know he's lost a lot of weapons and a lot of just players, whether it's offense and defense. But we brought in a new coach. We thought he was going to unlock you. We thought you're going to be playing well. The last month has been excellent for you, but you got the stud of the week this week just because that's an insane amount of touchdowns that that's a Josh Allen kind of game. Even though Josh would probably do like 3-3 or something, but that's an amazing game, Trevor Lawrence. Um, Chiefs are out of the playoffs. Some other teams are faltering. You guys have a shot. I know you're missing pieces. I know your pieces haven't been playing up to par, but at the end of the day, you were supposed to be the chosen one. Before this Caleb Williams talk, it was you. And I've been paying attention to football for the past couple years. Caleb was extremely hyped. I don't know if anyone was as hyped as I saw you coming out of college. They talked about you like you were the perfect quarterback, couldn't do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? If you kick a puppy, they'll say what the puppy do. That's what people talked about Trevor in his game. Not only his arm, but what he was doing with his legs too. So it's good to see him come around. That gives me hope for Caleb because I'm a Caleb guy myself. But let's move on. Number 2, Kyle Van Noy, just specifically for this play because this play meant so much. I believe in the game, but for the season in totality, and we'll get to some other pieces in a sec. But this was such a heads-up play, and I just feel like maybe a younger man that hasn't accomplished as much with more of an ego or more something to prove, a chip on your shoulder, would try to run it, just take it down for another 15, 20 yards, get caught by somebody and call it a day. But this man that has accomplished so much, I can't call him a Hall of Famer, but the Hall of very, very good. He saw the opportunity to give his man the ball, and he went down to go get that pick 6. Obviously, he got the pick. Your man's got the 6. So I just think that was an extremely important play in the game, in the midst of things, because Baltimore, at the end of the game, Baltimore had 24 points. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like their offense was cooking. This was able to get some points on the board without Lamar having to, strain himself, and obviously what he did to Joe Burrow, which we'll definitely talk about later. I just think that was the play of the weekend. I know there was a lot of other things going on, but at least stud-wise, I think that was probably the best play because it might have catapulted. If the Steelers didn't do what they did to the Dolphins, that might have catapulted them into a high playoff contention and, number 1 in the division, all that good stuff. But obviously Steelers did what they did, but we'll see what happens with the Ravens. Moving on, Bo Nix. Listen, I haven't given Bo Nix much, if not any love. Any, if not, you know what I'm saying. Not a lot of love this year. I have no opinion on Bo Nix. Let's just put it at that. When people, I'm lying. When people have so many years in college, it usually doesn't turn out well for them. It usually means that you were just good enough to keep your job in college. You were better than the other prospects. You were smarter, more mature. But maybe athletically speaking, you don't have the wow plays in you. So that's why you stayed to just, sharpen the tools in the tool shed, your mind. So when I heard he was, 5-6 years, and okay, interesting. Now he's here. Last year wasn't crazy, but your coach did say something, which we got to get him props now. Your coach did say before this year started, this is one of the few teams. Mind you, Sean Payton has coached Drew Brees for a lot of years. This is one of those this is one of the few teams he thought could actually win a Super Bowl. A lot of people were down on him. I don't know if I was one of them. I would have to go back and look at my predictions. I definitely didn't think you guys would be less than the Raiders like some people did. But anyways, Nick, right? I'm looking at you, my guy. Bo Nix, you're playing well. Let me read your stats off so we can move on. Obviously, it was against a good defense. Even without Micah Parsons, that defense is a serious thing. 23 of 34, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, any 4 touchdown game that gives you a 134 rating and an 88 QBR, that's a good game. And if you guys watch that game, it's a high pressure game. He's been going up against good teams and taking them down. So at first we were leaning on the crazy fourth quarter comebacks. We were leaning on that great defense. But now Bo Nix is emerging as, obviously he has a C on his chest. He's quarterback, but he's emerging as one of the engines that make this team go instead of just the luggage. So props out to Bo Nix. Moving on to duds. This list hurts some of these players. This literally hurts for the players, but we talked about it. Did I say Patrick Mahomes, Micah Parsons, both went down this weekend with ACL tears. Just put them on the dud list. That hurts. That hurts. Their careers up until this point have been magical. Both of them, obviously, Hall of Fame pace for Patrick Mahomes, but I think Micah Parsons has actually been underrated, especially when the trade from the Cowboys to the Packers happened. I feel like a lot of people were talking down on Micah instead of realizing how much of a great trade this was for the Packers. And even if knowing he tore his ACL, I think the Packers still do it because he's that great of a talent. But as we know, an ACL or, an Achilles, these injuries are serious injuries. And maybe they're not as serious as they used to be, or detrimental to your career as they used to be. But, we didn't get to see later years of Kobe. Bron didn't even break his ACL or anything like that. That Solomon Hill dive into his ankle took a year away from him. Might have took a couple years off his top end away from him. I know Brady had his knee blown out, but he wasn't really the same type of quarterback as Patrick Mahomes. When we're talking about rolling out and out of the pocket and running downfield. So Patrick on one side is going to have to change his game at least just for a couple years until he feels confident in his knee or he has that strength back in his knee. I expect Andy Reid to cook up something for him. But to my knowledge, I'm looking back on Andy Reid's quarterbacks. Obviously, he had Alex Smith, but Mike Vick, like when he had top end quarterbacks, they were all athletic, they were mobile. Patrick was probably on the lesser spectrum of those other top end quarterbacks, athletically, but he was still situationally great athlete. So him having to change his game, that's gonna be huge, I think, for the Chiefs, and we'll see what happens. I really don't think he should play week 1 next year. I want him to ease into it. I'm not telling the Chiefs to tank or anything like that, but you missed the playoffs this year. You can get a top pick. I don't know, running back, O-line. I don't know, tackle, D end, whatever you're doing, pass rusher. Next year, ease him into it. I don't know, week 10. I don't know. Is Travis? Whoa, did my thing just crap out? What happened there? I don't know. My thing just crapped out. My bad. But I don't know if Travis retiring. I don't think Chris Jones is going anywhere, but he might be depleting as a player. Your running back room is looking real suspect right now. I still love your receivers, but speed doesn't age gracefully at all times. It's not like everybody's gonna be Deshaun Jackson, so maybe you want to get some different types of receivers in there. I don't know. Got a lot of work to do. Maybe you want to bring back Eric Bieniemy. I heard that floating around on Twitter and some other places. So who knows what they're gonna do? And Micah, I'm nervous about Micah. He got his money. Thank God he got his money because maybe he still gets it without this injury, but definitely not the same number. So I'm glad he got his money. But as someone who needs to bend the corner every single play, this is a huge injury. And defensive players usually don't play forever either. Maybe D tackles that don't do as much bending, or you know what I'm saying. It's a different type of movement, especially on your lower body. Uh, Fletcher Cox. I'm thinking of Fletcher Cox and Calais Campbell, but I don't know. Von Miller played for a while. Is he the same player he used to be? I don't know. Look at the Bosa's. We don't know. He's so young. He should be able to come back, but I just don't know at what level will we see 90, 80. Like it's a scary injury. Obviously I never did it, but anyways, moving on. I feel like I spent a lot of time on that, but 2 players injuries sucks. Shador. I talked about Shador. Listen, I understand wristband. I understand players were out. I understand coaching. malpractice to say the least on a few levels. I understand Jerry Judy, but at the end of the day, going from what you did last week to having people's hopes up, smart people were saying they thought you could outplay Caleb Williams. I heard it. I heard it. Smart people were saying that, and I didn't think they were that crazy compared to the Browns defense and this and that. But you were terrible, flat out. 18 for 35, 177, 3 picks. Not great. 30 QB. I mean, 8 QBR, 5 sacks for 35 yards by the way, but 8 QBR, 30 rating, 3 points. The Bears are a good team. They do take away the ball, and you did fall into their traps. And I understand that again, the one off Jerry Judy's chest that could have easily gone the other way. Could you have placed the ball better? Who knows? I argued that on TikTok. Everybody said no, whatever. But it wasn't a good game. And probably you and somebody else on this is probably the last time I put you on any of them, just because I love talking about Shador because I'm a Shador fan, and obviously engagement is crazy when it's about Shador. Um, but now I think having one great game and having a couple bad games, I think now people are starting to find level with you. Um, I think it might have been good for him to have such a bad game after a great game because now people won't ever get that high again, and now he could just not be undercover because at the end of the day, you still see Sanders on the jersey. Um, that great smile of his, charming, right? His charm. So he can't go on, he can't fly under the radar, but maybe it won't be as noisy as it has been. But people on social media are not giving him that grace either. So we hope. Anyways, Joe Burrow. The interview before the game or during the week was quite something. It sounded like Joe Burrow wanted to retire. uh be traded at the very least. I don't know. Quit? I don't know. It didn't seem like he was really into it, and then when he got on the field, he didn't seem really into it either. Not a terrible game. He didn't have Shador levels of game, but he is above on this list because we expect more than Joe Burrow. From Joe Burrow than 0 points. I mean, 2 picks, one of them a pick six, 25 attempts, 25 completions for 225 yards, average 5.8. 21 QBR, 58 rating. I mean, you have Jamar Chase go for 10, 300. Wait, sorry, 10 catches for 132 yards. You would think you'd get a touchdown. You would think you score a field goal. You are the quarterback of the team. Maybe this is missing, this is meaning that other thing's missing, but your play last week and then following up this week, it's really bad. It's looking bad for Joe. It's looking bad for the Bengals. I didn't know this because this was before my time, before my knowledge, but Carson Palmer played for the Bengals, said I don't want to do it anymore, retired. They traded him. He played for another 10 years. A couple years later, well, decades later, decade-ish later, here you have Joe Burrow. Does Joe Burrow want to play for y'all anymore? Does he want to go catch or throw balls to Justin Jefferson? Who knows? I hear a lot of things going on. I don't think they're actually real. I just think they're reacting to his depression, dare I say. Don't want to put that word out there, but he doesn't look like he's having a good time. And these interviews are pretty interesting to say the least. Jordan Love. Maybe this is my fault. Maybe it's a little personal for me because you guys were my Super Bowl pick out the NFC, and it's not looking hot. Not only with the ACL tear that you see on the screen with Micah Parsons, but with your mediocrity, dare I say, you are supposed to be better than Bo Nix, right? Like I think that's fair to say. You're supposed to be outplaying Caleb and Jared Goff and Bo Nix. I understand Matthew Stafford being better than you. That's fair. But I don't think you're supposed to be less than these other quarterbacks or equal to, honestly. I think your weapons are better than most teams. I think your coaching is better than most teams. I mean, it's hard to say LaFleur versus Sean Payton because, hey, But I really like Matt LaFleur, even though apparently he was on the hot seat a couple weeks ago. The the Giants will gladly take him. And Packers fans, if you don't want him, send him this way. But anyways, you're supposed to be better than these quarterbacks, and it just when it matters, you're not. Let me see what I was gonna pull up exactly. Your stats weren't terrible. 24 completions for 276, one touchdown, 2 picks. It wasn't terrible, but the fact that you got outdueled by Bo Nix was my issue. Um, that doesn't, Bo Nix. I get his defense is probably better than your defense right now. I can't say probably, definitely better than your defense right now. But offensively, I think you're supposed to be able to put up more points with your arm talent, um, off platform throws, all that good stuff. But then your weapons. I understand you don't may not have an A+, and I know Tucker Craft is out and Christian Watson be in and out, but Watson and Reed is back and Musgrave is still good, and it's just Matthew Golden made a big play. I expect more from Jordan Love. Maybe that's just me. Number one dud of the week though. We got Mike Rabel. I know I didn't mention the Patriots nor the Bills all episode, but yeah, it's definitely time for that. There's no way you give up 28 points. I don't even the stats for this. I have it in my head. There's no way you give up 28 points in the second half when you score 7. You're dominating the big brother in your division. You have a chance. It's a hat and t-shirt game. Win the division. You have it in your hands. And I understand you don't want your quarterback doing too much. Plus, they have a terrible rush defense, so you're just running all over them. A couple big chunks may not have went in your favor, time possession wise, but you got to close out that game, Mike. I understand your team's young, but you're not. You're a vet. You're a vet coach. You know how big of a deal this game specifically is. Maybe you have to see him again. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, but at the same time, you had a chance to clinch your division, stamp your playoffs, stamp to the Josh Allen Bills. We're big brother now. You know what I'm saying? We're no longer little brother. We're here to stay. Josh, congrats, reigning MVP. Drake May is in the building. You know what I'm saying? You had a chance to make that statement and you folded. I'd rather you lose that game, nip and tuck, field goal, or maybe they just dominated us the whole time. The worst way, I don't know, being dominated the whole time or giving up the lead. Which would you rather? I don't know. Maybe if you you're getting dominated the whole time, you got things to work on. But giving up the lead was like we had it, but our mentality relaxed. I don't know. I don't know which I'd rather you do, but I'd rather you not lose. How about that? I'd rather you just finish the job being up on the Bills, up big on the Bills, and not give up 28 second half points. That's all. I understand Josh is great, but Josh didn't have a great game. It wasn't like 6 for 6 or three on the ground, 3 through the air. You know what I'm saying? So Mike Rabel, be better. Um, that's my studs and duds for the week, man. Again, sorry I didn't put out this episode sooner, but we're gonna get it posted Thursday, midday, 12, something like that. Shout out to all my stoners. Like I said, see y'all on Twitter, TikTok. Get with me. Till then, God bless. Thanks for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you don't agree with any of my takes, we can argue about it. Get on the podcast, get in the comments, whatever you want to do. You can subscribe to my channel right here. In this other corner, you should get with my TikTok and my Twitter. And in this corner right here, you can watch any more reaction videos, vlogs, or watch any more takes. Till then, see y'all. God bless.